Good morning. Welcome to the trade setup right here on BQ Prime. I'm Neeraj Shah, and the big announcement or the big development is the BOE announcement yesterday. They said that they will carry out temporary purchases of long-dated UK government bonds from 28 September. The purpose of these purchases will be to restore orderly market conditions. The purchases will be carried out on whatever scale is necessary to effect this outcome. This shows that markets remain at the mercy of central bankers, and it can be a funny world that the BOE has been on a quantitative tightening spree, or central banks world over are kind of in that mode wherein they are tightening policy rates, and at the same time they're going out and buying bonds as well. It's a as one tweet stated, is it quantitative easing or quantitative tightening? No, it's quantitative confusion, and quite frankly, that is the case. So it brought about a big relief rally in assets across the world. It may be temporary, it may be a one-day move, but it is there. So yesterday, European markets and US markets were doing, but did very well for themselves. Yeah, this is the point I think that the piece that we're talking about. But as a result of this, and Virat, thanks for bringing this up. But as a result of this, there's a big move in world markets. Now, remember, yesterday this happened despite Apple not doing well. Nasdaq still did 2%. That shows you the extent and the breadth of the rally. Apple was down yesterday, but because Apple has said that they were cutting down on some production, etc., because of demand forecast, etc. So Apple didn't do well, but the others did well. The other pieces, right? The other indicators. So look at what's happened. The dollar index is fine, 113. It came off a little bit. The big move was seen in the 10-year yield, US 10-year yield. It's showing up 1.14 basis points from the close, but from nearly 4%, or actually 4%, it came down to about 3.74. That's a really sharp downtick in the 10-year yield. The CBOE VIX too was down about 7%. And I think we'll see a similar move in the Indian markets too. The SGX Nifty should be showing a bump up today. So no surprises there, about 1%, and which could well be the case. We may not rally too much, and it may be a day's rally, but I reckon that for the day at least, there may not be the start certainly will be positive, and specific stocks could see some bit of short covering. In fact, that's the trade setup for the day today, to my mind. That, remember, yesterday about 75% of the stocks witnessed OI reduction on yesterday's session, indicating more of long unwinding rather than short build-up. Also, it will happen typically ahead of the expiry, that some of these will get unwound and there will be moves made on the next series. But yeah, there was a bit of long unwinding. There was not massive short buildup aside of banks. Banks showed some short buildup yesterday, and therefore there could be a bit of a rebound, because there could be a bit of a covering that could happen. I mean, look at, I'm not saying Axis will rebound, but just look at the kind of damage that's happening in Axis and the short buildup in Axis Bank, and that's symptomatic of what banks could do. Pharma law, for what dealers said yesterday, and especially after this announcement, there was a lot of long position build up in pharma across healthcare, actually, not just pharma, but across healthcare, a lot of long build up. And dealers said that particularly the uptick in diagnostic companies and the long build up seen in diagnostic companies might see a bit of a capping. So they've had a good, strong rally, according to dealers. They might see a bit of a cooling off in the session today. These might not be the stocks that will participate as per dealing rooms. Paint sales looking strong as per channel checks, and likely to help the paint stocks in the very near term. Now, why do I say this? This is the sector in focus today, paint stocks. Asian Paints yesterday closed at about a 9-month high. I put out a tweet today, by the way. The one stock that has gained across time frames: 1 day, 5 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 month, YTD, even 1 year. If you look at all these time frames, that one large index stocks, there might be others too, but Asian Paints is one stock which has had a unanimous rally. It's just that kind of a beast, really. Yesterday closed at 9-month highs. Traded volumes for Asian Paints were about 2 times the weekly average. It's added, yeah, this is the tweet. I mean, the one stock, really, I mean, yeah, there are 1 or 2 people who've guessed it. Vikram, for example, has guessed it, but it's essentially that one stock which has done so well across time frames. Now, the traded volumes for Asian Paints are about 2 times the weekly average. It added over 30% OI in the October series, indicating strong buying. And one of the reasons could be a Nomura report today suggests that AkzoNobel performance has been very strong in India. AkzoNobel Global laid out what the performance in the July, August, September quarter was for them globally. China was weak, but Indian performance, they said, was solid. That tells you a story or two. Maybe paint companies across the board might see some buying today. So watch out for this space in particular in the session. Asian Paints may have had a rally, the others may have not. So watch out for the paint stocks today. From specific stocks perspective, watch out for Torrent Pharma. US FDA inspected the company's manufacturing facility in Gujarat for about 9 days or 10 days. The company's been issued a Form 483 with three observations. It would have been scary, but none of these observations were related to data integrity. So that is a positive. So watch out for Torrent Pharma. Watch out for Chemcon Specialty. It's commenced commercial production at the P9 facility near Vadodara, or Supriya Life, which was down about 7% yesterday. Now, I don't know the importance of this announcement, but just bringing it out in case it is really important. The European Directorate granted a certificate of suitability for company's API product. I don't have a handle on what this means for Supriya Life, but I'm just bringing out the announcement nevertheless, so that you, if you believe you can do your channel checks, you should. Nika, consider and approve the issuance of bonus shares on October 3rd. I mean, bonus announcements get the street excited. Maybe Nika might be excited a bit today. In case it is, maybe you blame it on the bonus issue announcement. So these three slight interesting announcements. Adani Power, consider a scheme of amalgamation of multiple subsidiaries with itself. Maybe it could bring out a bit of a spark. Speaking of sparks, there were these two or three names which actually did really well for themselves yesterday. Look at the volume buzzers table, and there was ITI, SH Kelkar, and Shivalik Bimetal Controls, wherein the gains were to the tune of 7%, 3%, and 11%. But the volumes versus the 2-week averages were very strong. ITI, the AGM yesterday, big jump up in volumes and price action. Or Shivalik Bimetal Controls. I didn't know too much about this company, but it's a 2,500 crore market cap company, up 11% yesterday. Volumes about 11 times 2-week average, so did really well. And SH Kilker, they've announced some acquisitions as well of some European subsidiaries. 3% gain, volumes at about 6 times 2-week average. So watch out for those one. Watch out for these. Maybe there's some announcement or two here and there, but these are the ones that stood out for me. Some promoter buying seen in Man Infra yet again. Promoter Parag Shah bought another 30,000 shares on September 27, or for the matter, Adani Green, wherein the promoter Spitstrain and Investment bought additional 5 lakh shares on September 26, or Finiotech Chemical, wherein the promoters have bought some shares on September 27. But Man Infra and Adani Green or Adani Group stocks continue to see buying from the promoter entities. Speaking of Adani Green, though, what might be a dampener, if you will, is that Total Energies, the CEO, in a presentation to investors in New York, said that they might trim some stake in Adani Green to raise some potential cash. Timelines not given, no definitive mentions done there, but maybe it impacts Adani Green today. Standard disclaimer, of course, when we talk about any of the Adani Group stocks, that they own 49% in Quitalin Business Media, which is the owner of BQ Prime. So just wanted to bring that out. From amongst brokerages, a bunch of things out there. One of them was this note on Apollo Pipes. Systematics initiates with the buy at target price of 650. The one thing that kind of worked for me was the third line, wherein they're saying that the company believes that they will, or they are seeking to achieve. Let me not put words in Systematics' mouth. The company seeks to achieve 25% plus revenue growth for the next 3 years. Anything which is growing at that pace, uh, valuations tend to become a lot more reasonable 2 years out or something. So Apollo Pipes is not cheap, but it's not terribly expensive also, by the way, but it's not cheap. But if it grows at 25% for the next 3 years, and if it maintains margins and therefore earnings also grow in that fashion, it might not look terribly expensive 1.5 years out or thereabouts. Maybe that's why Systematics like it. Not a very big upgrade, really. I mean, they initiated coverage actually. It's not an upgrade also. Not a very big target price uptick from the current prices, but current price must be about 500, 550, 650. So nothing dramatic, but an interesting one. Remember, everybody is talking about building materials. Today, we are talking on Alpha Moguls with Ravi Dharamshi. He's talking about building materials as being a big theme as well. Samit Vartak spoke about building materials as being a big theme. So yeah, watch out for some of these pipe companies. Not necessarily just Apollo Pipes, any pipe company, but could be interesting. There might be a piece of news or two that I may have missed. There is, I think, some announcements on on uh, in the papers about how Ashok Leyland Switch Mobility, that developer Tucker bus has garnered some high interest. So watch out for that one as well. Or Agarwal Industries, which was a volume buzzer yesterday. Ashish Kacholia has bought about 2 lakh shares at 570. So maybe one or two of those stocks could be in focus today as well. So do watch out for them. Net, the day should be positive. The start should be positive. Well, let's see. Maybe the day will depend on how Europe opens up after the big rally that European markets also saw yesterday. Let's wait and watch. We remain at the mercy of the central bankers. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Do tune into Alpha Moguls today with Ravi Dharamshi. Or watch for any of the previous ones that I put out. 3 have already been put out, and there is quite a bit of learning that you could actually have from each of those. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup today.